آل محمد وعجل فرجه. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. سبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وهو العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي أخرج الذين كفروا من أهل الكتاب من ديارهم لأول الحشر ما ظننتم أن يخرجوا وظنوا أنهم نعمتهم حصونهم من الله فأتيهم الله من حيث لم يحتسبوا وقذف في قلوبهم الرعب يخربون بيوتهم بأيديهم أيدي المؤمنين فاعتبروا يا أولي الأبصار. ولولا أن كتب الله عليهم جلاء لعذبهم في الدنيا ولهم في الآخرة عذاب النار ذلك بأنهم شاقوا الله ورسوله ومن يشاق الله فإن الله شديد العقاب. صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وأجل فرجه. Tonight we started our blessed Majlis with ayat from Surah Al-Hashr. Inshallah به برکت قرآن مجید و برکت این آیه های مبارکه our Majlis day of 6, the night of 7 is blessed with presence and huzur angels of Allah and blessing of our Imam Zaman, inshallah, Jalallah Ta'ala Farajak, as the musibat of Muharram and musibat of Karbala getting more and more close to Ashura, we try to increase our understanding. So I was listening to a clip today again, and the Sheikh who was doing this said, we all are proud of the inheritance that we are the Shia of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam. And he started his clip. He says, Amir al-Mu'mineen had two weaknesses and two problems. I got, really? What are you talking about? And he said his fault was that he was so afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that when he made namaz, he would shake in the presence of Allah. But most of us are, mashallah, in so much in hurry that not only we don't shake, we are in a hurry to finish it and go do something else, which is dunya, not akhirah. But since Amir al-Mu'mineen understood the azamat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he would shake when he did prayer. That was his weakness. That's not a weakness. That's azamat of Amir al-Mu'mineen alayhi salam, his greatness. The other thing is when somebody harm a yatim, somebody who lost parents, he would get shaken. Especially if they get more the zulm, if somebody does something to harm them, he would get really angry. So he was afraid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he was protector of yatim and nasir and all that. So those are not weakness. But when you start like that, you jolt to say, Amir al-Mu'mineen, no, what I believe in Amir al-Mu'mineen is his greatness, and he never has any naqs. So the other thing is that we always encourage, even when we ask for donations and we ask for helping the center, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala over and over and over in Quran, in Kitabullah, He says that from what I give you, give away to other people. And don't worry about that mall or your food or whatever you're giving away is becoming less, because I will give you more than that. And it says, if you give me a loan, I promise you I'll pay you much, much more. So it's like, in order to comply with that, you have to have a belief and you have to have iman. Once you increase your iman, as you do amal and your namaz and salat, everything becomes in fi sabilillah. Then you don't worry about next food and next meal where it come from. So inshallah, tonight, we are here as our presence is to say tasliyat to Imam Zamana Jalallah Ta'ala Farajak. As this matam is getting more and more serious toward the Ashura, inshallah, we listen and benefit from it, and we promote some changes in ourselves. So there's no guarantee that next Muharram, next night of 7, we are here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only knows. And inshallah, we get the benefit. And if we get this blessing that be here another year, great. Inshallah, we will be able to contribute to the meeting. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ala Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Bar Muhammad wa ali Muhammad salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the love of the Holy Prophet and his holy family, please recite the second salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. For the reappearance of our awaited Savior, please recite the third salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad wa ajil farajahum. We continue on this journey with Imam Hussain alayhi salam, who has reached Karbala and who is on this journey of love towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And in this journey, as we have been seeing in this past few nights, he's sacrificing those closest to him. His companions have left him, and his children, his family members are one by one giving their lives. So tonight we will talk about the son of Imam Hussain alayhi salam, who so closely resembled the Holy Prophet, peace be on him and his family, that the Imam says that whenever we had the thought of remembering the Holy Prophet, that the Imam would look at this son. And he says, in khalq and khulq, Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam resembled the Holy Prophet. So the salam is about the loss that Hazrat Zainab faces by the passing away of the son. And the Marsiya describes, the poet describes in the Marsiya what happened when Hazrat Ali Akbar alayhi salam fell from his horse and Imam Hussain salam went towards him. Salawat. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. परदेस में ज़ैनब खो बैठी, परदेस में ज़ैनब खो बैठी, 18 बरस के पाले को रोते है खड़े सब आले नबी, रोते हैं खड़े सब आले नबी, 18 बरस अरमान न निकला बानों का, है लाश पे नौहाबानों का, पाएगी कहाँ ये कूख जली, पाएगी कहाँ ये कूख जली, 18 बरस دل تھام کے اکبر کی مادر سرور سے یہ کہتی ہے رو کر کھوائے کہاں اے ابن علی کھوا اے کہاں اے ابن علی 18 برس قسمت کا کروں میں کس سے گلا خدمت کا عوض کچھ بھی نہ ملا صحرا بھی نہ زینب باندھ سکی صحرا بھی نہ زینب باندھ سکی 18 برس کے پالے کو پردیس میں بر محمد و آل محمد صلوات اللہم صلی علی محمد و آل محمد. زخمی سینہ سے رن میں جو شے کا پسر ہوا ہر سمت سے لئی ہر ایک حملہ ور ہوا ترقوں میں مرقع خیر البشر ہوا آخر جدا عقاب سے وہ سیمور ہوا مقتل میں کیا ہجوم تھا اس نور عین پر پروانے گر رہے تھے چراغ حسین پر پروانے گر رہے تھے چراغ حسین پر گرنا تھا بس کے سر پا لگا گرز ہے ستم یوں جھک گئے کہ ہوتے ہیں سجدے میں جیسے خم رکھ دی گلے پشیس نے شمشیر تیز دام تلوار ایک پڑی کے ہوئی پس لیا قلم گل تھا کرو نہ رحم تنے پاش پاش پر دوڑا دو گھوڑے اکبر مہرو کی لاش پر دوڑا دو گھوڑے اکبر مہرو کی لاش پر پیری میں خیر ہے خبر مرگ نوجوان ریتی پتھر ترا کے گرے شاہ سجا نکلی سروں کو پیٹتی خیمے سے بیبیاں بانو پکاری خیر تو ہے شہ زمان ہے پسر سے کون سی مادر بچھڑ گئی صاحب بتاؤ کیا میری بستی اجڑ گئی صاحب بتاؤ کیا میری بستی اجڑ گئی نیزے سے کس کے لال کا زخمی ہوا جگر کرتے ہیں کس کی لاش کو پامال اہل شر کہتا ہے کون رن میں تڑپ کر پدر پدر اب گھر سے میں نکلتی ہوں یا سید البشر پردہ نہ مجھ سے کیجیے سب جانتی ہوں میں آواز یہ سنی آواز یہ اسی کی ہے پہچانتی ہوں میں آواز یہ اسی کی ہے پہچانتی ہوں میں بانوں کو قسم دے کے چلے شاہ نامدار وہ پیاس اور وہ دھوپ کا صدمہ وہ اضطراب دل تھا الٹ پلٹ تو کلیجا تھا بے قرار اٹھتے تھے اور زمین پر گرتے تھے بار بار चिल्लाते थे शबी है पैगंबर हम आते हैं, घबराइयो ना ए अली अकबर हम आते हैं, घबराइयो ना ए अली अकबर हम आते हैं, आऊं किधर को ए अली अकबर जवाब दो, चिल्ला रही है द्योड़ी पर मादर जवाब दो, अकबर बराए खालिक़े अकबर जवाब दो, बेटा जवाब दो, मेरे दिल पर जवाब दो, गिरते हैं हम सवाब का हाथों से काम लो, बेटा ज़ईफ बाप के बाजू को थाम लो, ये सुन के खैची शाने शह वाला ने जुल्फ़िकार, चमकी जो बर्क़ तेग तो भागे सितम शार, शह को नजर पड़ा अली अकबर का राहवार, चिल्लाए आए औकाब किधर है तेरा सवार, दिखला दे मुझको लाश मेरे नूरे ऐन की, किस दश्त में पड़ी है बिजात हुसैन की, किस दश्त में पड़ी है बिजात हुसैन की, दुश्मन को भी ना बेटे का लाशा खुदा दिखाए, हजरत जमी पर गिर के पुकारे के हाय हाय, जिंदा रहे ये पीर जवायूं जहां से जाए, ऐ लाल 3 रोज के फाखे में जख्म खाए, शायद जिगर के जख्म से तुम बेखरार हो, जख्मी तुम्हारी छाती पर बाबा निसार हो, क्यों खींचते हो पाँव के मेरे गुलजार, क्यों हाथ उठा उठा के टपकते हो बार बार, आंखें तो खोल दो कि मेरा दिल है बेकरार, बेटा तुम्हारी माँ को तुम्हारा है इंतजार, बहनें खड़ी है दर पर तेरे इश्तियाक में, अकबर तुम्हारी माँ न जिएगी फिराक में, अकबर तुम्हारी माँ न जिएगी फिराक में, हजरत ये कहते थे कि चला खल्क से पिसर, हजरत ये कहते थे कि चला खल्क से पिसर, इतनी ज़बां ली के खुदा हाफिज़ है पिदर, इतनी ज़बां ली के खुदा हाफिज़ है पिदर, हिचकी जो आई था लिया हाथ से जिगर, अंगड़ाई लेके रख दिया शह के कदम पसर, अंगड़ाई लेके रख दिया शह के कदम पसर, आबाद घर लुटा शह वाला के सामने, बेटे कदम निकल गया बाबा के सामने, बेटे कदम निकल गया बाबा के सामने, सलवात अल्लाहुम्मा सल्ली अला
सलवात। आओ रो लें शहे करबला को, आओ रो लें शहे करबला को, जिंदगी का है जिंदगी का भरोसा नहीं है, जो भी गिरता है इस गम में आंसू,
کوئی بیکار جاتا نہیں ہے۔ آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے۔ جب جلے ہوں گے خیمے حرم کے، جب چھنی ہوں گی سر سے رضائیں، جب جلے ہوں گے خیمے حرم کے، جب چھینی ہوں گی سر سے ردائیں، کیا بنی ہوگی سیدانیوں پر، کیا بنی ہوگی سیدانیوں پر، وہ سما دل سے جاتا نہیں ہے۔ آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے۔ بحر تعظیم اٹھو اے اکبر، پردہ داری کرو میرے دلبر، بحر تعظیم اٹھو اے اکبر، پردہ داری کرو میرے دلبر، آ رہی ہے سواری پھوپھی کی، آ رہی ہے سواری پھوپھی کی، جس کا کوئی سہارا نہیں ہے۔ آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے۔ کربلا میں جو جائے گی زینب، کیا بتائے گی بھائی کو زینب، کربلا میں جو جائے گی زینب، کیا بتائے گی بھائی کو زینب، چھوڑ کے زنداں سے جو آ رہے ہیں، چھوٹ کے زنداں سے جو آ رہے ہیں، ان میں پیاری سکینہ نہیں ہے۔ آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے۔ جب مدینے میں جائے گی زینب، کیا بتائے گی صغرا کو زینب، جب مدینے میں جائے گی زینب، کیا بتائے گی صغرا کو زینب، وہ نشان رسن بازوؤں پر، وہ نشان رسن بازوؤں پر، نیل اب تک بھی چھوٹا نہیں ہے۔ آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو، زندگی کا ہے زندگی کا بھروسہ نہیں ہے۔ جو بھی گرتا ہے اس غم میں آنسو، کوئی بیکار جاتا نہیں ہے۔ آؤ رو لیں شہ کربلا کو. صلوات.
صلوات بر محمد وآل محمد. پیاسا رہا جان نبی، اے وائے نہر القمہ، اٹھتی رہی موجیں تیری، اے وائے نہر القمہ. وہ خشک لب سوکھا گلا، شیر خدا کی آل کا، وہ تیرے ہونٹوں پہ تری، اے وائے نہر القمہ. طوفان اٹھانا تھا تجھے یا سوکھ جانا تھا تجھے، کچھ تو نے خدمت ہی نہ کی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. ایک مشق پانی کے لیے عباس کے شانے کٹے، ندی لہو کی بہہ گئی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. ڈوبے لہو میں یک قلم، کیا کیا غزالان حرم، دیکھی یہ کشتی ڈوبتی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. ایک چادر آب رواں اوڑے ہوئے تو نوح خاں، زینب کی یہ بے چادری، اے وائے نہر القمہ. قبضے میں تیرے آب ہو اور پیاس سے بے تاب ہو، شہ کے چمن کی ہر کلی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. اشک سکینہ بہہ گئے، منہ دیکھتے سب رہ گئے، تو اور تیری دریا دلی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. یہ کون سا دستور تھا، مہمان کتنا دور تھا، کیا پاؤں میں زنجیر تھی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. خیمہ رہے شبیر کا یوں دھوپ میں جلتا ہوا، ساحل پہ ہو فوج شقی، اے وائے نہر القمہ. حسرت کی ایک تفسیر تھی، وہ تیرے دل پہ تیر تھی، جو موج تھی ایسی اٹھی، اے وائے نہر القما، آتا ہے اس کو یاد جب وہ کاروان تشنہ لب، ہے نجم کا نوحہ یہی، اے وائے نہر القما۔ صلوات بر محمد والے
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد عجل
بر محمد و آل محمد بلند تر صلوات۔
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد۔
آجا علی اکبر، آجا علی اکبر، ماں باپ کی صورت مجھے دکھلا علی اکبر، آجا علی اکبر، دن آنے کے تیرے میں گنا کرتی ہوں بھیا، دن آنے کے تیرے میں گنا کرتی ہوں بھیا، وہ دن بھی کبھی ہوگا کہ تم آؤ گے اکبر، آجا علی اکبر، مل جا علی اکبر، سنتی ہوں بلد میں ہے تیرے بیاہ کا سامان، سنتی ہوں بلد میں ہے تیرے بیاہ کا سامان، کیا بہنا کو شادی میں نہ بلواؤ گے اکبر، کیا بہنا کو شادی میں نہ بلواؤ گے اکبر، آجا علی اکبر، مل جا علی اکبر، تم دولہا بنو سامنے ماں باپ کھڑے ہوں، تم دولہا بنو سامنے ماں باپ کھڑے ہوں، میں ہاتھوں سے باندھوں تمہیں صحرا علی اکبر، میں ہاتھوں سے باندھوں تمہیں صحرا علی اکبر، آجا علی اکبر، مل جا علی اکبر، ماں باپ کی صورت مجھے دکھلا علی اکبر، بر محمد والے محمد صلی اللہ علیہ
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها المزمل قم الليل إلا قليلا نصفه أو انقص منه قليلا أو زد عليه ورتل القرآن ترتيلا إنا سنلقي عليك قولا ثقيلا إن ناشئة الليل هو أشد وطئا وأقوم قيلا إن لك في النهار سبحا طويلا واذكر اسم ربك وتبتل إليه تبتيلا رب المشرق والمغرب لا إله إلا هو فاتخذه وقيلا واصبر على ما يقولون واهجرهم هجرا جميلا وذرني والمكذبين أولي النعمة ومهلهم قليلا إن لدينا أنكالا وجحيما وطعاما ذا غصة وعذابا أليما يوم ترجف الأرض والجبال كانت الجبال كثيبا مهيلا.
صلى الله عليك يا أبا عبد الله صلى الله عليك يا ابن رسول الله روحي وجسمي وأرواح العالمين لك الفداء يا غريب ويا مظلوم كربلاء ثم السلام عليكم يا أهل الأذى الحسين جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته مع الصلوات. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه تبارك وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يسألك الناس عن الساعة قل إنما علمها عند الله وما يدريك لعل الساعة لكون قريبا صلوات. Mu'minin, our discussion continues on the existence and functionality of the Imam of our times. And now we have reached that stage where we have established in a very simple way the basic facts and basic requirements that we all have to have in mind when we are on the surface of this earth in these days. We found out that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in His infinite mercy is our guide. And it is through this guidance that Allah wants us to stay very close to Him. And that we should be very, very close to Him. He has provided all the means. And this means is through obedience, as we found out in the first talk that we had here. Obedience to Allah is through obedience of the Prophet. And in the absence of the Prophet is through those who represent the Prophet. And that is an eternal process. Because as we found out that There can be no existence even for an iota of a minute if there is no hujjah of Allah. And therefore, we are in that stage where now the hujjah is there, but we are in that state of what is called ghaiba, occultation. Occultation, the Imam of the time is present, is alive, is active, is functional, is aware of what is going on. The only difference is that he is not visible. You do not see him through these eyes. But there are so many things that we don't see through these eyes, and still we get a lot of benefit. Anyone who defies this, just tell him, okay, let's go outside. Take him out, let him look at the sun. And then he will know what will happen to his eyes. There are a lot of things which we may not be able to see directly, and this is why we are in this period of occultation. That far we have reached. Are we going to stay in this stage forever? No. This system which we live will also change. There's ultimately going to be the end of this whole system, and another system will emerge. That is the time when we will have what is called Qiyamah, the day of Qiyamah. But before that, something else will happen. Therefore, these verses, yas'aluka nasu an-sa'a, when they asked the Prophet about this, and when the Prophet told them that there will come a time of occultation, and then after that, finally, there will be an end. And so they asked, when is this going to be? And what the Allah replies, Kul, tell them, the knowledge of this is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. However, the verses continue that when it happens, it will happen. It can happen anytime. Only you be aware about it, be careful about it. Therefore, when we have reached this stage, Ma'asumin have always been worrying about us, have been worrying about this time in which we will not have a direct access to the Imam of the time. But that doesn't mean the Imam is inactive. No, that we have already talked about it. Therefore, the Prophet and all the Ma'asumin have warned us, be ready. Yesterday, we saw the signs that the Prophet said, these are the signs they are going. When you see these signs happening, know that you are not very far. However, those signs are referred to as not imminent. They may take a lot of time before actual Qiyamah comes, before Raj'ah comes. It'll take a lot of time. Only, as the verses say, it can happen anytime. Therefore, Imam As-Sadiq has said, and when I mention some of, when you see these things happening, he says, be careful. Prepare yourselves. Be ready. Because if you see what is happening, those signs which we saw yesterday. Then he says, but then the Prophet said, Amir al-Mu'minin mentioned 6. The Prophet mentioned 9 signs. When you see these 9 signs, that's it. Now, exactly which is going to happen when, there is no, we do not know exactly. But these are the 9 signs. Some of them will happen, it looks like, just before the appearance of the Imam. Some of them then will come when the Imam is there. And then the Imam, and we'll talk about Raj'ah. Now, Raj'ah is tomorrow. We'll talk about what happens when the Imam is there and when he has done what he is now going to do, because now he is there. He is now out. And now he is going to establish another system. Now that, inshallah, if we get, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Today, we'll very briefly talk about those 9 signs. I'll just mention, because you cannot go into the details, very briefly talk about these signs. We'll start with those signs which most probably are going to happen just before the appearance of the Imam. So if you read one salawat, we'll then start talking about these signs. These signs have been mentioned in the Quran. And because of limited time, we don't read all these verses of the Quran. I just give references. Those who want to go and do more research can do it on their own. The 3 signs that are going to, there are 9 signs. The first 3 that will happen just before the coming of the Imam. And these are the 3 signs. Number 1, what is called the smoke. We'll talk about the smoke. The second thing is the rising of the sun in the west. The third one is appearance of this Ajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog. These are the 3 signs apparently will appear just before the appearance of the Imam. Then there will be some other 3 signs which either can happen at that time or may happen when the Imam is here. 3 of them, when is Da'batul Arsh, that or earth, that we'll talk afterwards. Then the landslides which are mentioned. And then there is a fire. Those are the things which there isn't much talked about. If we have time, we just briefly talk about them. But these other, there is some detail, a lot of details, but we are going to mention only a few of them. If you read one salawat, we'll start with them. Surah Dukhan, the surah that we all read on the 23rd night of the month of Ramadan. What is Dukhan? Is the smoke. And that is the smoke probably that the Prophet is mentioning here. What does it say? Briefly, he says, so wait the day when the sky shall give out a smoke, clearly visible, enveloping the people. This will be painful punishment. They will say, "O our Lord, remove us from this torment. Verily, we are now all believers." How shall they be warned when there already came to them a messenger making the truth manifest, and yet they turned their backs onto him and said, "Then he is a madman. Verily, we shall remove the torment a little, but very shall they return." Those people will return to the ways that they've been doing before. The day we shall seize them with great seizure, very we shall retribute. Now, these are the verses about the smoke. Now, this is how interpretation has been done. According to many traditions, this refers, now, the person who is writing is long time ago, Bihar Anwar. Bihar Anwar Majlis talks about this. What does he say? He says this smoke will appear and it will penetrate into ears, and people's head will look like they have been roasted. Think of the heat that is happening right now. Just think about it. But it will not trouble the believers very much. They will feel irritation just like a common cold. And the whole earth will be just like a house of fire, which has been lighted, and the house has no window and no ventilation. This condition will continue, he say, here for 40 days. Now think about what's happening right now in the world. And then it continues. This is a sign of warning, and the appearance, the chance is been given to those who are on the right path. This is the time you are given a warning. However, it will come back. It will be there. People will feel it all over the world. You can see what we are today talking about, change of climate. And things which should never happen are happening. This heat is killing. It's everywhere, throughout, and we all know about it. And therefore, it is said that the commentator says it is not difficult to accept these mentioned fog and smoke. He says, blanket whole region in every day. Allah may create a smoke which will cover the whole earth, which is already happening. It may give the believers immunity from the harsh effects of the smoke. Even today, not all people are affected when an epidemic takes all over the world. This is the reason why the Imam said, when you see a sign like this, prepare yourselves. This is maybe that time that is getting very, very. Do we see that it's going to happen tomorrow? No. Who can say it? No one can say it. But only that these are the signs that the Prophet said will appear, and you will see it and take lessons in it. This is one side. There's a lot written in about this, but I have to be fast because we want to finish so that give you time to do Adha of Sayyid al-Shuhada, which is also vital in these days. One of the tools that we have in hand of saving ourselves is this Adha of Sayyid al-Shuhada Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. And therefore, I will try to make it as short as possible so you have more time to do Adha of Sayyid al-Shuhada. So this is one thing which is mentioned, and it will most likely appear before the coming of the Mahdi. Then there is a second one which it says, rising of the sun in the west. What does it mean? Again, Allah says in this Quran, Allah says, referring to do they wait, but that come unto them the angels of death, or those who will bring the doom of the unbeliever? So what do you say? Do they wait, but that come unto them the angels, or comes thy Lord, or come some signs of thy Lord? What are you waiting for? The signs on that day when come some of the signs of your Lord, in faith shall profit not a soul which believed not before. If you did not believe in the coming of the Mahdi, and when these things will happen, then you will know. It will be too late. What he's saying is prepare yourself. So what is going to happen? The sun turning to the west. There have been many interpretations about this. There is one explanation which they say it is literal. It's actually going to happen like this. And they give this scientific explanation. I am not a scientist. This is what has been written. I'll just mention what it is. Those who are scientists and those who can do research can do it on their own. What does it mean? Literally, it can happen literally. He said it can happen literally. As a matter of fact, it is already happening by stores. Very, very slowly it is happening. And then this is what he says. It, in simple language, is that North Pole of the Earth changes its position and alignment with other stars. What we call today a common language, North Pole star, was not always so. It has been changing. I don't know. That's what he said. This is the scientists say. Instead, another star is another in another constellation was aligned with our North Pole. There was another star aligned with the North Pole that has changed. Now our Earth's axis of rotation has changed and has come in alignment with the present day of North Pole. Polaris, and this is slow change, is completed in circle in 25,800 years. There is a change that's happening. And then he goes on and on and on and on, talking about these scientific things, that it is possible to happen that the sun will suddenly, instead of appearing in the east, will begin to appear in the west. And scientifically, he says it is possible. Then he finally comes to this conclusion. Now the Creator may easily increase it or change its direction so that our North Pole becomes South Pole, and vice versa. If that happens, the east will become west, and the sun will rise from as it previously set. This is what he says scientifically. Then he finally explains, I do not mean that precision can change the north into south also. What I mean is that Creator does have the power to change the direction so dramatically and so diametrically that just as he makes the poles change their alignments with other stars nowadays, this is possible. This is the literal explanation of what is going to happen. And when that happens, then we know it has happened. Like death. When we see death, then we know this is death. This is what Masumin have told us. Be therefore ready. Do not be among those who are negligent, as this verse is mentioned. You're waiting and, there's nothing. Where are the sun? Then suddenly it appears. This is what it is. So we have to be careful. But then there is another explanation also. They say maybe this is actually a metaphor. It's a metaphoric. And that is what he says, that what it could mean is that there's another, Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam has said, verily he behind whom Isa bin Maryam will pray is the 12th from the progeny and 9th from the children of Hussein bin Ali. And he is the sun that will rise from its setting place. He will appear near Rukn and Maqam, that is, and will bear the scale of justice. So on one will do justice to anyone. See? So there's another explanation now. Other explanation is what Imam has said. It is actually the coming. This sun is not a literal sun per se. It is the coming of the Imam of the time. That is what another explanation is given about this coming of the changing of these rising of the sun. These are the explanations. Then now there is a third one, and that is that will happen there will be Ajuj and Majuj, Gog and Magog. These are mentioned in the Quran. If you read one salawat, when they look at this. The verses of the Quran go and talk about this. O Dhul Qarnayn, verily Gog and Magog cause mischief in the land. It's talking about those communities which are mischievous. In that time, because of the difficulties that they were called, therefore Zulkarnain, gave the help and the guidance from the Quran. He built a barrier and kept these people away from causing problems. Now, what are here? There's again interpretation. Who are these Gog and Magog? It mentioned, which I don't want to mention here, let me be sued. These days you can have a suit. So we'll be very general. I won't mention the names which are mentioned in the tradition of who are these people. I won't mention that. Those who are interested can go in the internet or wherever. This is, therefore, these are the regions which are mentioned from which this may happen is the region of South Europe and Asiatic Russia. And these are the areas. And over to West Asia and so on and so forth. These are the areas which are mentioned, and then some tribes are mentioned, and some community ethnicities are mentioned, which I don't want to talk about them. The most important thing is that this is the time when there will be some very powerful people, communities, states, which will now come out to dominate. So you should still think about who will be these people. You can see the geopolitical situation of the world in which right now is changing very, very fast. When you used to think that there were only one or two superpowers, now you begin to see how these superpowers are running after each other. Some of them forget to wear even the shoes. This is what is mentioned here, that these communities will be called that fitna. That problem will be caused like at that time when Zulkarnain, by the help of Allah, had created these barriers. These barriers now are getting off the limit. And therefore, those factors which used to control and say that only he and he and he only can rule the world, now things are changing. Therefore, we are told that there is going to be a lot of problems. There will be, and this is what it says, that certain tribes will break the barrier, the socio-political barrier that is there today, that has kept the world peaceful the way it is. That peacefulness would disappear. And therefore, you will have these tribes, and this is what it will do. Written in Majma'ul Bayan, Tafsir al-Majmadul Bayan, this is what he's talking about. This will be those communities in power, and then the Imam mentions their characteristic. This is their characteristic, which at that time when these books were written, they could not believe how that would be possible. This is what it says. It says, they will shoot their arrows towards heaven. And it will return to them with something like blood stain. This is exploration, movement from the domination of this earth. They will now try to dominate even what is in the heaven. Who is doing it today? A lot of them are doing already. There's already effort. This world is not enough for them. Now they want to establish themselves right in the sky. And some are trying to do it under the sea. And you see what happens sometimes. When you try to go that deep, the lesson is when Allah tells you, this is a lesson, you go there, you do whatever to do, but wait. There are going to be consequences. Therefore, it is said, they will be going towards the heavens there to dominate. And then it says, and they will say, we conquer the inhabitants of the earth. And now we are dominating the inhabitants of the heaven. We're so strong. We're so powerful. We have dominated this world. We are the policemen of this world. Who can dare raise his head against us? Now we are going to be the masters of the universe. We're going to be master of all these sky, all this. That's what we are going to do. This is what it is said here. This will be those Ajuj and Majuj. And when that happens, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will also, and then somebody now, the commentator says, obviously the arrows here refer to the rockets and the spaceships. The world, it will return to them with something like blood stain upon it, means that the spacecraft will reach their target and then will return to the earth. They go there, they will do all the work that they have to do, explore everything, and they will come back to tell them what's going on there. Aren't we very close to doing that today in this world? Think about it. Just think. I'm not saying that's what it is, but think about it. You are sitting here, you're all intelligent people. Think about what is going on. Then the Imam says that Then they will become so strong, they will almost control everything. And then finally, they will also face their fate. This is the second one. The first one was smoke, the rising of the sun, then Gog and Magog. And then it's during this time, he says there is going to be a lot of landslides. And there will be a lot of fire on the earth. Now, think about what is going on in certain parts of the world today, the landslides that we have. I don't know about here, but we have a lot of them you've seen in certain places. Pakistan, you saw it. India, you saw it. Africa, you saw it. It's happening everywhere. You have these heavy rains and landslides and buildings, rich people who live in these palaces suddenly see their palaces crumbling. This is what these verses are, these signs are mentioned here. Then there is, after this, then there are three other. One is coming of Dajjal, and then coming of Nabi Isa, and then coming of the Imam of the time, Hazrat Hujjat ibn al-Hasan. These are then the three things that will happen. Very briefly, we don't have much time to talk about Dajjal. Again, it is mentioned that sometimes they say he's literally a person, a very powerful person will appear, and his signs is that he will have one eye here. He'll be blind, but he will have one eye. Very powerful and apparently very pious. And the way he will attract people will be such that that will be the time of drought. There will be drought everywhere. There will be shortage of water. There's shortage of food. There will be, as you see, economic problems. And this Dajjal will come out and we will be able to attract people. How? One, by his piety, big beard, maybe, one eye with thick beard, look very, very pious. When they say, don't talk the way, like, and he will have three things. One is plenty of food. Second thing is plenty of water because there'll be drought. And third thing, plenty of music. Music. See? These are the things with that time will attract people. Music, well, I don't have to say nasheed. This is music and nasheed. There used to be no music. Now it's nasheed. In the name of nasheed, we have all sorts of songs. They are nasheed. When you ask, oh, this is nasheed. We are talking about imam. We are talking about imam using music and using those rhythms and rhymes which used to be recited in cinemas before. And some of us, not me, those who used to go, will say, oh, this guy and this song is from Awara. This is from this way. This is from Allahu Akbar. This is what will happen. Dajjal will have all that. Therefore, people will be attracted towards Dajjal. And he will go stronger and stronger and stronger, moving all over the world. Now it mentions how it will spread, where it will start, all mentioned. And more people will join, and there he will move. Wherever there is opposition, he is going to destroy that. And he'll continue and continue and continue. This is a big danger. And the Prophet has said at that time that throughout, I don't see anything more dangerous at that time than the coming out of Dajjal. Now, some people have said, let's call it Dajjal, is it one person or is it a system? Likely it is going to be a system that will be such that will have all the wealth of this world, will be able to give you food, will be able to give you water. Those are symbolic. Maybe give you good jobs, give you very good job, make attractive attractions to you all, and you take it. And with that comes the music. And with that comes all the nasheeds. And it comes all the things that we like. So why should we go with this group and join them? After all, this is a great scholar. He is somebody who's very pious. So he has everything. They give you religious freedom. What's that? They give you freedom, all kinds of freedom you have, including what people have always been telling you. This is haram. Everything is halal. Why do you talk about fear of Allah all the time? Talk about mercy of Allah. Allah is not like fear. You present Allah as he's so fearful. No, Allah is merciful. These are the teachings that will come from that person or that system. And this is the most dangerous time of our lives. If we are still there, we will face this. And therefore, there are two solutions to that. It is at that time, mu'mineen, those who are not affected, will be the ones who will be crying. That is the time when things happen like this, the mu'mineen will there truly call the Imam of the time. Yeah, Imam, now is the time, do show up. We are in such a position now that if we have to join this Dajjal, that is why it is said at this time, the mu'mineen, 2/3 of those mu'mineen, Allahu Akbar, may Allah save us, will have lost their faith. Where will they have gone? With Dajjal. And those remaining 1/3 will be the ones who will now, at this point now that their system does not benefit me anymore. If I'm getting social security, if I'm getting everything free, why would I want this change system to change? When we don't have those facilities, when we begin to feel the pinch, that is the time with Ya Mawla, and that is the time then Imam will appear. This is the time when Imam will appear, and with him will appear Nabi Isa. This is the time now. This is the beginning of what is called Raj'at, which we will talk about in details, some details tomorrow, inshallah. Now what will happen? There is going to be a big struggle. Those who are alive, who had always waited for the Imam, now will have the opportunity to join the Imam. The Imam will appear, and signs a lot of things are said about the appearance. I don't have much time to go into all this, but when he will appear, there are signs, how he looks, where he will come from. He rise most of the traditions say it will be at Makkah, just at the Khana Kaaba. And as soon as he comes, there will be certain changes. Immediately announcement, everybody will hear. There will be announcement that he has now come. And it said at that time, those who truly were waiting for him, immediately they'll join him. How? Is it easy? Is it hard today from me here to go to wherever within 5 minutes? Take a jet and do it. It is said at that time things will be such. Those who really want to be the Imam will be the Imam. Then there'll be those who want to join the Imam, but they still have certain commitments, family commitments, whatever commitments. They will not be able to join the Imam immediately, but they will have that opportunity to meet the Imam when he does appear. And there this I will appear exactly at the age, say at least he is in his 40s. And he will have the same physical characteristics as they were with the Prophet. Remember, at the age of 40, the Prophet declared his prophethood. At the age of 40, the Imam of the time will declare his prophethood. Everybody throughout the world, people will hear and will know now that he has come. And this is what he says, the people who will object, a lot of them will be scholars and ulama. This is what is written in the tradition. I'm not saying it's there. Why? Because their system, their ways of life will be affected. Imam will come, and it is said, if the Imam comes now, if Imam comes to a particular, say, a big corporation, and Imam comes there, this is the state of justice now and equity. He may say to that boss there that, you know what, now your job is to go and stand at the door. And that person who was working at the door, now you are the person who are going to run this corporation. Would that person like it? This is what is going. Justice is this. When the justice of the Imam comes, you should all be afraid of that. Because he will tell you, do this, you've got to do it. Awla bitasarruf. Whatever the Imam of the time tells you, this is what you have to do. That you have to go in the army, then you have to. Are we prepared to do that? This is the time of the Imam. He appears, and with him comes Nabi Isa. I would end up here. Then Nabi Isa will come and he meets the Prophet, the 12th Imam. As a matter of ethics and respect, listen to this. The Imam of the time will tell Nabi Isa, you lead the prayers. And Nabi Isa will say, now, this is your haqq. You lead the prayers. Meaning, they sometimes say Maryam is mentioned so many times in the Quran, and her name is mentioned. Where is the name of Fatima? It's never mentioned in the Quran by name. This will be the proof. The son of Maryam will tell the grandson of Fatima Az-Zahra, you are the one who is going to lead the prayers, and I am going to stand behind you, and I will pray behind you. And this is the time when all the people, their religion now will be Islam, that religion which has been promised will now be. And this is the reason when some Christian brothers come and we had discussion, and we ask them that you also believe that Isa is going to come? Yes. And we also believe that Muhammad, our representative, the Savior, will come. He says, yes. And at that time, when Jesus prays behind that Savior, will you also follow Jesus or not? And they'll look at me. Is it going to happen? Yes, it is going to happen. Suppose it does happen. Okay, suppose. You do see this happening. Would you then join Jesus? He said, if that happens, yes, we will do. This is what is going to happen. Those who genuinely believe in the teachings of Jesus and Isa will join him. This is what is said. Islam will be, all those who are waiting for saviors will see this is the one, they will all join. And therefore, this is the time when Raj'ah will begin and will establish. That will be, inshallah, tomorrow. We'll talk about the Raj'ah, what will happen during the time of Raj'ah. As for what Imam Hussein had told his soldiers on that night of Ashur, that your efforts are not going to go in vain, that there will come time you will all be called back, and all those who mazal zulm on you will also have to pay back. And this is the day, seventh day or seventh night of the month of Muharram. This is the night when water was cut off from the family of Ahlul Bayt. What they don't say, some people say, the supply was cut earlier. When the tents were removed, the supply was cut right there. But they had some water with them. It is from this day onwards that the children and the family of Ahlul Bayt begin to go without water. Al-Ataish started coming from the house of Rasulullah. And the Ummah were doing this to him. Therefore, there comes the day of Muharram, seventh day of Muharram, on the day of Ashur, as we mentioned, at the time, by the time of Zohar, all those who supported Imam Hussein had been martyred. Now came the time of the family of Ahlul Bayt. Who was the first one to go? Historians are not in one agreement. There are those who say that, as I mentioned, the children of Muslim, and finally the last one to go was Ali Akbar. Others say, and more emphasis is even on this, that Ali Akbar was the first one among the family of Ahlul Bayt to go and give his life. One or two things about Ali Akbar. On the way to Kufa, at one stage, Imam Hussein had a vision. He closed his eyes, he opened his eyes, he said, La hawla wa la quwwata illa billahi al-aliyyil azim. Ali Akbar was so close to his father. Remember this. He was so close to his father that this father, his son is just next to him. Make sure that he has the service of his father. Anytime he needs service from him. When he hears him, Father, why did you say that? Why did you say this? He said at times of some difficult time. He said, oh, my son, I had a vision. I closed my eyes. And I heard somebody from the heaven saying, look at these caravan. These caravan are going towards their destination. And their destination is their destiny. Oh, my son, this means we are all going to be martyred. Ali Akbar, this is the son, says, Father, aren't we on the right path? Said, of course we are. Said, then, Father, I am not afraid of death. Whether death comes to me or I go to death, for me it is all the same. What did this father, 57 years old, Hussein, what did he say? My son, I'm proud of you. This is the best gift that a child can give to his parent. Just remember this. Remember these things. Therefore, this qafila, this caravan reaches Karbala. And therefore, on the day of Ashur, as we said, there comes a time Ali Akbar comes to his father. Therefore, there is one marsia which is very popular, but I don't feel like reading this. It's a marsia. It's a marsia but it talks about Ali Akbar asking, Imam Hussein asking Ali Akbar, do you know what it goes to your father? Do you know? Do you know this happened? Do you know this happened? Do you know this happened? And then Ali Akbar replies, yes, this kind of marsia sometimes we should not talk about. When we know how Imam Hussein did not, Ali Akbar did not do it and would not do it. Imam Hussein immediately told his son, Taqabbal, go forward, my son. However, before you go, there's one thing you do. Go to the Khaymah and bid farewell to your aunt. He said Hazrat Zainab had brought up Ali Akbar. There's a great connection between Zainab and Ali Akbar. Therefore, go inside, bid farewell to your aunt and all your mother and everybody inside. Then you go. Ali Akbar went inside. The narrator says he was waiting. And the narrator sometimes mentions Hamid bin Muslim. That I saw this young man going inside, and then I saw the curtains being lifted and then being dropped, being lifted and dropped. And then he said, I guess then I saw that as this young man wanted to come out, these children will come and surround him. There's some ladies would come and beg him and pray for him. Therefore, it took time for Ali Akbar to come out. Imam Hussein bid farewell to his son. Go, my son, taqabbal. He goes, but it also said Imam Hussein is behind that. The only conversation that this mercy has to do may be this one. That Ali Akbar turns far and said, Father, but you allowed me to go. Why are you coming behind me? Then the Mu'arrikhin said that Imam said this man, oh, my son, I am carrying the heart of a father. Then it is said, Imam Hussein said, Ya Allah, Umar ibn Saad today is cutting off my progeny. Therefore, Ya Allah, you also do the same to him. Then Imam says, anytime I wanted to see my grandfather, Ali Akbar has all the characteristics, physical and behavior, like my grandfather. Now I am sending him away from me. Ali Akbar came to the battlefield. He introduced himself, and there was a great battle that Ali Akbar did. People did not even come now to fight him. After a while, Ali Akbar says he comes back. He's one of those martyrs who had that opportunity to come back after fighting. He comes back, and it said he's so hot that he looks at the father, and that the world should know about it. That, oh father, is it possible that I should have some drops of water? Just think of this, a young man who has just come from the battlefield and is just asking for water, and that father is capable of my miracle to get water, but no, he works according to the system of this world. So, my son, I don't have any water. Soon your grandfather will feed you from House Kausa. Go, my son, go. Ali Akbar goes to the battlefield. He fights them, but how much would he fight? Therefore, he was mortally wounded. There was so much blood coming out from him. He bent on his horse and addresses the horse, take me to my father. However, the blood was flowing all over. This blood came on the eyes of the horse. In fact, instead of going towards the khayma, he went inside into the battlefield. And this gave opportunity to the enemies of Allah. They started attacking him. And Mu'arrikhin say, Hatta bi suyufi. Irba. They cut him into pieces. Ali Akbar fell on the ground. He called out for his father. Hussein ibn Ali goes towards the battlefield. They say in his mouth was, Ya Ali, Ya Ali. They say, was it he thinking of his son? Or was he calling his father? Oh, my father, this is hard. Come, help me. Yes, and he got help. By the time he reaches where Ali Akbar was like, Zainab, the daughter of Ali, had already reached there. Imam Hussein consoled his sister Zainab, sent her back to the camp. He came to his son Ali Akbar. Ali Akbar was in his last breath. Look at his father. I told the father, I can see our grandfather. He has come to give me water. Ali Akbar closes his eyes. Imam Hussein weeps and he raised Marcia. He says, oh my son, after this, what is there for me left in this world? Now, Imam Hussein takes the body of Ali Akbar and goes towards the Khayma. As for Hazrat Zainab, there are two instances that are mentioned. That she came out of the khayma and she ran to the battlefield. One was when Ali Akbar fell on the ground. The second is when Hussein ibn Ali had fallen on the ground. Zainab, the daughter of Ali, ran towards the battlefield. Ya Ali, Ya Ali. She went to Talla Zainabiyah and she saw what she had seen with Ali Akbar. Only Imam Hussein this time. Look at here. Isharat, Neel Hassan, Zainab, go back to the tent. The way Imam Hussein sent Zainab when she was on the body of Ali Akbar. He did the same and sent Zainab to the battle. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Matame Hussein.
Ali Akbar, Hai Ali Akbar, Hai Ali Akbar. کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوں بھری میت سے لپٹ کر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوں بھری میت سے لپٹ کر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوں بھری میت سے لپٹ کر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے ارمان تھا پہناؤں گی پوشاک شانی ارمان تھا پہناؤں گی پوشاک افسوس کے راس آئی نہ تجھ کو یہ جوانی کیسا تھا مقدر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوں بھری میت سے لپٹ کر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر 18 برس پال کے پروان چڑھایا 18 برس پال کے پروان چڑھایا وہ گیسوں والا ہے میرا خون میں نہایا یہ کیا ہوا دلبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوں بھری میت سے لپٹ کر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ٹھہرو کہ میں 18ویں منت تو بڑھا دوں ٹھہرو کہ میں 18ویں منت تو بڑھا دوں ٹھہرو کہ میں 18ویں منت تو بڑھا دوں پھر لے کے بلائیں تجھے جینے کی دعا دوں سب کے ہے مادر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر ہائے ہائے علی اکبر کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوب بھری میت سے لپٹ کر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. تم ہچکیاں لے لے کے جو دم توڑ رہے ہو، تم ہچکیاں لے لے کے جو دم توڑ رہے ہو، منہ ماں سے ہمیشہ کے لیے موڑ رہے ہو، کیوں روٹھے ہو دلبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوب بھری میت سے لپٹ کر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. ماں تیری جدائی میں بھلا کیسے جیے گی، ماں تیری جدائی میں بھلا کیسے جیے گی، مر جائے گی صغرا جو خبر تیری سنے گی، اب کیا کروں دلبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوب بھری میت سے لپٹ کر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. پہلے تو ایک آواز پہ اٹھ جاتے تھے بیٹا، پہلے تو ایک آواز پہ اٹھ جاتے تھے بیٹا، اب اتنی صداؤں پہ بھی پہلو نہیں بدلا، کیا ہو گیا دلبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. کہتی تھی یہ ماں خوب بھری میت سے لپٹ کر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. جب کوئی جوان لاش نظر آتی ہے محشر، جب کوئی جوان لاش نظر آتی ہے محشر، جب کوئی جوان لاش نظر آتی ہے محشر، ایک یاد سوئے کرب و بلا جاتی ہے محشر، دل روتا ہے بہتر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر، ہائے ہائے علی اکبر. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
حسین.
یا حسین.
اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، حیا علی خیر العمل، اونچا رہے خیر العمل،
اللہ
خیر
العمل.
جب تک ہے دور آسماں،
جب تک
ہے دور آسماں، سن لے یہ ہر پیر و جواں،
سن لے یہ ہر پیر و جوان،
آواز پر شبیر کی بڑھتا رہے یہ کارواں، رکنے نہ پائیں یہ قدم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا
رہے اپنا علم،
ہر قلب پہ چھاتے رہو، دنیا کو بتلاتے رہو،
دنیا کو بتلاتے چلو،
ایک ایک محاذ ظلم کی تصویر دکھلاتے چلو، ہر دل میں بھر دو شے کا غم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، کب تک نہ مانے گا کوئی،
کب تک نہ مانے گا کوئی،
وہ وقت آئے گا کبھی،
وہ وقت آئے گا کبھی،
ہر قلب پر چھا جائے گا اپنا حسین ابن علی، اس در پر ہوگا غم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، جب بھی کوئی مشکل پڑی،
جب بھی کوئی مشکل پڑی،
دنیا اسی در پر جھکی،
دنیا اسی در پر جھکی،
سینوں سے بل کھا کر ادھر اٹھی صدائے یا علی، نکلا ادھر باطل قدم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم، یہ پرچم عباس ہے،
یہ پرچم عباس ہے،
ٹوٹے دلوں کی آس ہے،
ٹوٹے دلوں کی آس ہے،
اب تک اسی پرچم تلے زندہ کسی کی پیاس ہے، جس نے سہیلا کو ستم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم،
اونچا رہے اپنا علم،
عباس ہے نام وفا،
عباس ہے نام وفا،
آغاز و انجام وفا،
آغاز و انجام وفا،
منہ موڑ کر دریا سے جو پیتا رہا جام وفا، ہوتے رہے بازو قلم، اونچا رہے
اونچا رہے اپنا علم،
زندہ ہے حلمن کی صدا،
زندہ ہے حل میں ان کی صدا،
مٹتا نہیں خون سے لکھا،
مٹتا نہیں خون سے لکھا،
شبیر کے حق کی قسم ایک مار کا ہے، کربلا جو سلسلہ ہوگا نہ کم، اونچا رہے
اونچا رہے اپنا،
اے نوجوانان عزا،
اے نوجوانان عزا،
تم ہو کسی دل کی دعا،
تم ہو کسی دل کی دعا،
تا حشر اٹھتی ہی رہے سینوں سے ماتم کی صدا، قائم رہے اکبر کا غم، اونچا رہے
اونچا رہے اپنا علم،
جب کربلا یاد آئے گی،
جب کربلا یاد آئے گی،
انسانیت شرمائے گی،
انسانیت شرم آئے گی،
مظلوم کی آواز ہے دل میں اترتی جائے گی، پھٹیں گے یہ بہتے قدم، اونچا رہے اپنا علم،
اونچا رہے اپنا علم،
زندہ یہ بیداری رہے،
زندہ یہ بیداری رہے،
یہ سلسلہ جاری رہے،
یہ سلسلہ جاری رہے،
ہم ہو نہ ہو اس بزم میں قائم، عزاداری رہے، نکلے اسی چوکھٹ پہ غم اونچا رہے، اپنا علم اونچا رہے، اپنا
یا حسین،
یا حسین،
یا حسین، یا حسین،
یا حسین،
حسین،
یا حسین،
یا حسین،
یا حسین،
حسین،
یا حسین،
حسین،
عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، مقتل کی زمین بھاگ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، اس شان سے مقتل سدھارا، سے کو سدھارا تھا لمدار، اس شان سے مقتل کو سدھارا تھا لمدار، اس شان سے مقتل کو سدھارا تھا لمدار، آدھا کی نظر تھا گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، جب تیر چلا بہہ گیا سا مشق سے پانی، جب تیر چلا بہہ گیا سا مشق سے پانی، عباس کو شرم آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، رونے کے لیے لاش شبیر پرن میں، رونے کے لیے لاش شبیر پرن میں، فردوس سے ماں گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، کیا جانے یہ کیوں روٹھ گئے، کہتی تھی زینب، کیا جانے یہ کیوں روٹھ گئے، کہتی تھی زینب، رخسار کی گھڑی آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، بہتا ہوا کانوں سے لہو، سوکھے ہوئے لب، سوکھے ہوئے لب، بہتا ہوا کانوں سے لہو، سوکھے ہوئے لب، دکھلانے سکینہ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، شے آ گئی، مشق آ گئی، عباس نہ لوٹے، دیتی رہی آواز پہ آواز सकीना ये आवाज पे आवाज सकीना देती रही आवाज पे आवाज सकीना आखिर को कज़ा गई अब्बास न लौटे शे आ गई मश्क आ गई अब्बास न लौटे या हुसैन
اجماعاً صلوات بلند ختم کنید. فراق بوستان را بلبل افسرده میداند غم مرگ برادر را برادر مرده میداند ز کوشش های عباس و سکینه گشت معلومم که قدر آب را لاله لب خشکیده میداند که قدر آب را لاله لب خشکیده میداند وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا یا علیا وا علیا وا علیا یا ای نبی هاشم ای نبی هاشم آه و ویلا رفته از دستم لاله لیلا گشته پیش جسم بابا جسم اکبر قطع قطع وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا یا روی پیغمبر لالگون گردید صورت اکبر غرق خون گردید ای خدا خون بر دلم شد داغ اکبر قاتلم شد وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا یا ای نبی هاشم ای نبی هاشم از حرم آید بهر تشیع اکبر آماید از دو دیده خون ببارید بر جوانم گل ببارید وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا یا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا ای خدا حقم ای خدا حقم را ادا کردم فرق فرزندم را دوتا کردم ناله سر زد از نهادم گاه دویدم گاه فتادم وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا وا علیا یا ای علی برخیز ای علی برخیز گریه کن بر من خنده بر اشکم میزند دشمن یا برایم دست و پا زن یا که بابا را صدا زن وولیا 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 یا ای نبی هاشم ای نبی هاشم آه و ویلا رفته از دستم لاله لیلا گشته پیش چشم بابا جسمی اکبر قطع قطع و ولیا و ولیا و ولیا و ولیا یا روی پیغمبر روی پیغمبر لالگون گردید صورت اکبر غرق خون گردید ای خدا خون بر دلم شد داغ اکبر قاتلم شد و ولیا و ولیا و ولیا و ولیا
حسین یا ہے زمین کربل پر درد کا عجب منظر ہے زمین کربل پر درد کا جب منظر جا رہا ہے مقتل کو اب شبیہ پیغمبر اور ودا کرنے کو لا کے موت کے در پر اپنے دل کے ٹکڑے سے کہہ رہی ہے یہ مادر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر میں اپنے ہاتھوں سے پھر سوار دوں زلفے پاس بیٹھ جا کر یوں تجھ سے دو گھڑی باتیں پاس بیٹھ جا کر لوں تجھ سے دو گھڑی باتیں دیکھنے کو ترسیں گی تجھ کو اب میری آنکھیں میرے لال آ تجھ کو دیکھ لوں میں جی بھر کر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی دھوپ کی تمازت ہے 3 دن کے پیاسے ہو تم پر صدقے ہو جاؤں 2 گھڑی ٹھہر جاؤ ماں کو چھوڑ کر بیٹا جا رہے ہو مقتل کو ہائے تم سے پہلے ہی کیوں نہ مر گئی مادر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی ماں نے تجھ کو پالا تھا کتنی آرزوؤں سے کیا بتاؤں میں بیٹا دل میں کتنے ارماں تھے اب نہ دیکھ پاؤں گی پھول سے تیرے سہرے قلب ٹکڑے ہوتا ہے کس طرح کہے مادر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی ہر قدم پہ ہوئے گا سامنا اندھیروں کا اب چراغ بجھتا ہے زندگی کی راہوں کا نور لے کے جاتے ہو تم ہماری آنکھوں کا تم کو ڈھونڈنے نکلے کس کا آسرا لے کر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر زندگی کا ہر لمحہ ہم بوجھ ہوئے گا زندگی کا ہر لمحہ ہم پہ بوجھ ہوئے گا آنکھ خشک ہوئے گی قلب خون روئے گا آنکھ خشک ہوئے گی قلب خون روئے گا سرزمین مقتل پر میرا لال سوئے گا ہائے یہ بھی کہنے کو زندہ رہ گئی مادر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی رخصت علی اکبر کے عجیب لمحے تھے رخصت علی اکبر کے عجیب لمحے تھے یوں رشید خیمے سے اکبر جوان نکلے یوں رشید خیمے سے اکبر جوان نکلے ایک جنازہ نکلا ہو جس طرح بھرے گھر سے ایک جنازہ نکلا ہو جس طرح بھرے گھر سے کہہ رہی تھی رو رو کر مادر علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر جاؤ اب خدا حافظ اے میرے علی اکبر
اکبر میرا سحر اوالا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر اوالا اکبر اکبر میرا سحر اوالا اکبر میرا سحر اوالا اکبر میرا سحر اوالا زخم دل کے دیکھاؤں میں کیسے زخم دل کے دیکھاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر اوالا اکبر میرا ناچ اکبر پیشہ جب پہنچے دل کو ہاتھوں سے تھام کے بولے تیری فرقات میں علی اکبر آگ دل میں میرے لگا دی ہے آگ دل کی بجھاؤں میں کیسے آگ دل کی کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر آواز اکبر میرا سحر آواز تو ہے کڑیل جوان اے بیٹا باپ تیرا ضعیف ہے کتنا نور آنکھوں سے ہو گیا رخصت مجھ کو آتا نہیں نظر خیمہ لے کے خیمے میں جاؤں میں کیسے لے کے خیمے میں جاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا سحر آواز میرا شیر جس نے 18 سال پالا تھا کیسے دیکھے گی وہ تیرا لاشا تیری شادی کا تھا جسے ارماں کیسے دیکھے گی وہ تیرا لاشا لے کے خیموں میں جاؤں میں کیسے لے کے خیمے میں جاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا شیر حوالہ اکبر میرا شیر حوالہ ایسی غربت میں منہ نہیں موڑو میں ہوں تنہا مجھے نہ یوں چھوڑو کیا گزرتی ہے باپ کے دل پہ غم زدہ دل کو یوں نہیں توڑو اپنی غربت بتاؤں میں کیسے اپنی غربت بتاؤں میں کیسے تیرا لاشا اٹھاؤں میں کیسے اکبر میرا شیر حوالہ اکبر میرا شیر حوالہ اکبر میرا شیر حوالہ وہ عابد بیمار تھا وہ عابد بیمار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور شام کا بازار تھا اور مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین
السلام علیکم یا ابا عبداللہ السلام علیکم ابن رسول اللہ السلام علیکم ابن امیر المومنین وابن سید الوسیین السلام علیکم ابن فاطمة الزہرا سیدۃ النساء العالمین السلام علیکم سائر شہداء کربلا خصوصاً سیدی و مولاي ابو الفضل العباس یا ابن امیر المومنین السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا غریب الغرباء السلام علیکم یا معین الضعفاء والفقراء السلام علیکم یا سلطان یا ابا الحسن یا علی ابن موسیٰ ایھا الرضا السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ السلام علیکم یا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام علیکم یا شریک القرآن السلام علیکم یا امام الانس والجان عجل اللہ تعالی فرجک وسعل اللہ تعالی مخرجک وظہورک السلام علیکم وعلی آبائک الطیبین الطاہرین السلام علیکم ورحمۃ اللہ وبرکاتہ
Who's doing the azan today?
نعرہ حیدری
It's time for azan. Anybody wants to come, please hurry up.
إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد